Very good morning, everyone. Charles here, Frgnt Daily Chart Analysis. Good morning to you. Wednesday, the 8th of March, just approaching 8:30 here in Milan. Very good morning to you. You'd have to excuse my charts at the moment. They haven't been cleaned. I had quite a busy afternoon yesterday, so to be honest, everything is still as is. But just a quick rundown on Gbpcad shorts yesterday afternoon. I had a question directly. And that question was, how did you manage to get in that position? And here is the answer, to be quite honest. So top-down analysis, if we go to the top right-hand chart on that weekly time frame, again, excuse the chart looking slightly messier than usual. But what we can see is last week we had a beautiful rejection of that weekly 50 MA. So at some point this week, I am expecting price to want to retest the highs, potentially imbalances above that weekly 50 MA, potentially previous weekly highs. As we can see, prices on its way there, wick imbalances, etc., etc., before then rejecting that weekly 50 MA. So currently we've got 2 days and 15 minutes for that to occur. So with that in mind, I've gone down to the daily time frame to see that are we in any valid point of interest, let's say now on the daily time frame, i.e. daily order blocks, where I too could expect a rejection from that area. So bottom right hand corner, that is the daily time frame. So yesterday, what we also had was the fact that Monday's daily candle closed below the daily 50 MA. So yesterday's daily candle, I was expecting much of the same. So as I've just described on that weekly time frame, expecting yesterday's daily candle to want to retest potentially previous daily highs, that daily 50 MA, as well as the weekly 50 MA, although it's slightly early to expect the rejection from the weekly, I must admit, but certainly from the daily 50 MA, I was very much so expecting a rejection from that daily 50 MA. And as I superimpose all of that information on the lower time frames, you will be able to see that previous daily high where I was looking to find some confluence for the short. Right, so not too much else that I'll go into on that daily time frame, but the 4 hour, and I'm looking at structure, also how price action is respecting those EMAs. So unfortunately, this was the only time frame that the 4 hour or the EMA was against my position, namely that 4 hour 50 EMA. As you can see, if I slightly enlarge these candlesticks for you, you can see how price is just about respecting that 4 hour 50 EMA. Price is dipping into it, giving a wick to the low, rejecting it towards the upside. So if there was one reason why my trade would fail to take, let's say, full take profit, let's say Asia lows, for example, the reason behind that could well be because that 4 hour 50 MA was very much so against my position towards the upside. And as you can see, as a result of that, price has continued to respect that 4 hour 50 MA, pushing price higher. And now as I get to the charts this morning, I can see that price is even broken above this 4 hour order block. So nevertheless, why am I looking to take the trade? Well, I see this 4 hour order block just here. And again, price is failing to break above that area. And if I look to the left, price is failing to break above this entire area. And why I like this is the fact that price made a higher high. We've had a slight break of structure that is seen specifically on that 15-minute time frame. Now, once price then comes back into an area of interest, I'm expecting a turnaround. So on that 4 hour time frame, there wasn't a 4 hour order block to the left here. Sorry, I had to pause the video there, but where were we? 4 hour order blocks. There wasn't any 4 hour order blocks to the left. So what I did, I reused this 4 hour order block that I believe was definitely mitigated. Let me just double check. So we've got, yeah, of course. So this 4 hour order block here is mitigated. So what I potentially should have called it was simply a session high in the market, and that would have made absolute sense looking to the left. Nevertheless, that isn't only the reason why I'm looking to take the trade. If I now bring the 15-minute time frame up, so now if you recap, I've got the weekly time frame on side, I've got the daily time frame on side. The only time frame that is particularly against my position is the 4 hour 50 EMA, as well as the 4 hour time frame that looked slightly bullish. Now, if this is the 15-minute time frame, we have to understand that price had two areas within that 4 hour order block, two areas that I'll be willing to refine down in order to see if I can get a reaction from. So within this 4 hour order block that we've seen on the 4 hour time frame, we had this first 15-minute order block. In fact, we had one lower, and that is just here in yellow. Now, The reason why I'd say, in fact, we were slightly lucky that we didn't have an opportunity to short from that area is because price absolutely tanked straight through it. Now the question is, on the second area, so it's worth noting that we have no real clue, uh, in my opinion, what order block price is really going to look to react from, particularly these days. In fact that the DXY is quite predictable, but also quite unpredictable, being quite honest. Now, so price didn't allow us an entry from this first order block. That's fine. So I'll get rid of that. It's just there to highlight that there was an order block lower as well. That could be considered to have broken structure to the lows here just on that 15-minute time frame. But nevertheless, using the higher time frame bias, we recognize that within the 15 we've got two other areas. Now the first thing I had to ask myself is, well, why has price just stopped dead at this 15-minute time frame, 15-minute order block just here? Now, it's not all about just trading from order blocks. It's very important to have a nice entry criteria that you can rely on and rinse and repeat over and over again without too much thought whatsoever. So, as I've said, price came into this 15-minute order block, absolutely stopped dead. Now, for me, it's right. Asking the question, and how can I get into a potential trade, and does that trade make sense? So you can see to the left-hand side that price, of course, could have made its move, or where the liquidity lies, it's up for us to look to decide that. Now we can see here on the 15, it's either from this area that gave price the push to the downside or the higher area. We can see now price has actually smashed through that. However, this 15-minute order block gave us a nice reaction. So straight away I then went down to the 1 minute time frame to see what I could find. Now, using the DXY's confluence, which I won't show you here because it's just going to drag the video out, but essentially the DXY was in a point of interest where we were expecting a turnaround towards the upside. We were also looking at AU US dollar short, again suggesting that the dollar is about to strengthen. And in contrast, if I haven't already mentioned that, we were looking at GU shorts as well. So tying everything into consideration, this is why I then decided to take an aggressive short position. So of course, not normally speaking, we would look to isolate areas in the market on that 1 minute time frame where we perceive in an uptrend the most recent higher lows created. We wait for that higher low to be broken and then take the pullback into an area to short. However, recognizing that the DXY was in that point of interest where we could potentially see a long move from that DXY, but bringing down or showing signs that GU is weakened, then it was down to my own discretion to take this trade more aggressively. So on that 1 minute time frame, isolating a point in the air, a point in price action where price is simply failing to break above and below. So of course, if I was looking to wait for price to be broken in terms of the most recent higher low, I'd have to wait for this to be broken, pull back into the area to short. I've just explained why I wasn't willing to wait for that. Now, what I could see is if I'm going to take an aggressive position, I need to figure out where the imbalance is in the opposite direction that could potentially ruin my position. Now, what I mean by that is here is an imbalance on that 1 minute time frame that caused at this point in time the most recent high. So, of course, if price then came down to tap that imbalance, I wouldn't have looked to have taken the short because as a result of filling imbalance, I then would have been expecting a higher high. What we can see here is price made that higher high anyway. So essentially what this dip in the market was, it wasn't necessarily a break of structure, but it gave me an entry criteria. What I mean by that is the market didn't consider it a break of structure. I considered it a break of structure. So my interpretation was clearly incorrect here, but the stop loss did exactly what it was supposed to do. Now, once I had what I perceived as a break of structure in that 1 minute time frame, as you can see, there's a 1 minute order block there left behind at the highs. I didn't enter straight away. I'll be honest with you guys. I was waiting for a particular candlestick then to enter that trade to give me the confidence that this order block is something that I can look to rely on and trust. Nevertheless, what you can see is my stop loss didn't trust it all that much, and I still wanted to give myself ample room above that 15-minute order block. So when price came into this area, I looked for that particular candlestick. I'm sure you can see it, a bearish candle with a wick to the high. Then price came back up to fill that candle, and at that moment I pressed sell. Shortly then I went straight down into drawdown, but luckily for me I just shut my laptop and got on with my day. And as you can see then, price on the way back down, I'm looking to monitor or manage my position by that imbalance. here. So as a result of that, there's the higher high created. We were expecting potentially a higher low for a higher high. So as soon as price then came back down, touched that area, as you can see by my alert, looking to move that trade straight away to break even. And then as you can see, back to the 15-minute time frame, we had that rollover down towards, you've guessed it, the 4-hour 50 EMA, the only EMA that was out to ruin the party. I was looking for Asia lows to be filled. It wasn't to be, so I managed to take a little bit of money out of that particular trade. But that essentially is the full breakdown in 10 minutes. And I hope that is a good helping hand for any of you guys looking into how I am trading specifically. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that 10 minutes and 30 is a bit of a helping hand. All the very best in your trading journey, and time for me to mark my charts up. Good luck in your trading day. All the very best. Ciao.